Well, that 29 seconds went really quick, didn't it?
Where was the intro?
That was it. 29-second intro. Because obviously I'm going through changing things up. So it's like I just played a 29-second intro and didn't realize that 29 seconds was over. Hello, we're here live. Oh, it's like, oh, okay.
Well,
So,
hello. How are you today?
hello. I'm very well, yeah, I'm okay. I
Good.
wouldn't say I'm very well. I'm okay. I'm a bit annoyed, but hey ho, we'll just suck it up and get on with it because we're men and we have to man up.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right. Anyway,
you
let's move
today.
on. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Yeah.
Are
I'm
you?
all right. Like,
I'm sure you had a dodgy phone call earlier on today, didn't you?
yeah. Wow. Yeah. The Gino decided to assert himself. Like, what we've spoken about in the past. Like, Gino has struggled with school. You know, he's been bullied and everything. And I think something transpired over the last few days, like from last week leading into today. And for the first time ever, he got into a fight. And I mean, not just a scuffle, a full on fight, where I think he was trying to show people that he's not as weak as people were making him to be.
Yeah.
He's sort of got, but the thing is, he's sort of gone the wrong way about it. But I can understand why he's done what he's done.
Okay.
And it is like we say this all the time. Everyone has their boiling point, don't they? Like if you
Yeah. Yeah.
keep pushing and pushing and pushing, you're going to get a reaction. And yeah, so Gino gave a reaction. Some of it was justified, some of it not, but has led to a 2-day suspension.
Bless. Okay.
So, but then you can see like what the school was seeing was very different to what we saw at home. Like he come home and he was quite upset and quite shocked. Even he said to us today, I was shocked about how I reacted. I didn't think I would ever do something like that. But he come home.
Carry on.
So yeah,
That
what was that? Was that me on
was someone in the
an
background.
echo?
Yeah, we just carry on. Just carry on.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
ignore
Um,
voices in the background. We don't need to be doing with any of that tonight.
well, we had that with MJ last week, didn't we?
I know. I'm telling you, it's something about you. But we have a great guest tonight who's waiting in the green room. So you know,
Ooh.
we're we're bring Father Bob on in a minute. But yeah, you've so okay. So we done an investigation 2 weeks ago,
Yeah, Wookie Hole.
which was absolutely fantastic.
It was weird for me. Like it was a great investigation, but we sort of got separated from everyone else because
We
I couldn't physically make it down to the caves.
yeah,
Um, but watching you and Sarah, like you'd met for the first time, but where you two are quite in tuned and quite, is it like empaths in a way, or like sort of more in tune with it? There was a lot of stuff you two were picking up, and I'm just watching on the sideline thinking, this is weird. But we had some great stuff going on.
we did,
So
and we're like go through that in our next adventure, shall we say, with the podcasts, which we'll talk about at the end of after we've spoken to Father Bob. We'll talk about wow, something weird's happening here tonight. But we're just yeah, we're talk about what's happening with us after we've spoken to Father Bob. But
yeah,
we're going to bring on Bob now, who's worked with the likes of Zach Bagans, done a lot on TV. So we're going to get a different perspective of the paranormal from what you and me know. If going into places using equipment, blah blah blah, we're going to get it from a religious kind of like point of view, which will be different. And you're a Catholic. Father Bob used to be Catholic or still is Catholic, but so
it'll be good to see because I don't know, like my Catholic background, Italians, they don't believe in what we do. Not that they don't believe in the spirit side of it, but they think it's not. Is there loads of noises going on in the background there?
no, No.
Uh,
But
but yeah, so shall we bring Father Bob on?
should we blame Father Bob for everything that's happening so far? Should we
But
just
he might need to give a blessing before he goes with the noises.
so we're going to bring him straight on. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Father Bob.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hey,
How are you?
good. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. So,
Yeah,
Nando, would you like to start us off?
Oh yeah. So thank you very much for coming on. I think one of the first questions when Rob told me that he was bringing you on, someone from a Catholic background was quite surprising to me to be involved in things like with like ghost adventures. How
I
you
wasn't
know
on Ghost Adventures.
you were oh, okay, but you did some work with Zach Baggins, is that right?
No, nope,
Oh, so we were told you did.
no. Ryan Buell. I was on Paranormal State.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Yeah, no, I never worked with Zach. I never met Zach Baggins.
Oh, well, that's right. That's probably a bonus.
Yeah, some of the things he did, I would not be on the show to,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
tell any
we were
credence to
told.
it.
Yeah, we were told that you appeared on Ghost Adventures a couple of times when we'd done a little bit of background checking. So that's why.
Nope.
Ah, okay. That's
That's right.
interesting to know.
But how did you get involved in that side of the paranormal? Because usually, being Catholic, like from my background, there is a big no-no that you sort of don't go into this sort of field. So how did you get involved in it, and how did it look for your like a congregation, like the churches and everything, when they found out that you were getting involved in the paranormal field?
Well, my involvement in the paranormal was a specialized field. So I dealt with negative spirits and demonic spirits, which we all believe as Christians that there are demonic spirits, there are evil spirits. And so my involvement in that was to be called in to do deliverance ministry to people who are oppressed or obsessed, or to go in and bless homes and do spiritual warfare to banish evil spirits or entities from homes. And that's how I got involved with that, and also to help souls, whether earthbound or purgatorial souls, to help to free them and help them to go to a better place. So those are the areas of expertise that I did. I really didn't get involved in too much ghost stuff um, per se, you know. Although I do believe in them, you know.
So
And as
you
far as the church, but I never had any real problems. I mean, there's a lot of people who thought what I was doing was crazy, but I was never censured or I went to my bishop at the time and told him what I was doing and that I thought that it was important that the people in the paranormal community they wanted to hear the voice of the church in that, particularly in the negativity, the negative aspects, the dark aspects, and that we had something to bring to the table. And he gave me
Yeah,
permission. Yeah.
that's brilliant.
so did you get any feedback from the church for doing this kind of work? Were they happy and allowing you to do it, or was there a bit of a pushback about it?
Well, no, the bishop allowed me to do it. So, I never had any kind of, I mean, there have been some clergy who don't believe in what I'm doing because they don't believe in ghosts or they don't believe in some cases, demonic spirits, oddly enough. So they would kind of, laugh at what I was doing. But for the most part, I got a lot of respect for what I was doing.
That's right. And you were saying that you did a lot of stuff where when we think about demonic spirits and things like that, the darker side of things. Now,
Yes.
there's always been that controversy when you're thinking about demonic spirits. Like people were saying it was never a living thing, it's something from another world. You being in this field and specializing in that, What do you, or what have you concluded to say what a demonic spirit is now? Was it a living thing or was it something totally different?
No, I truly believe, what our Christian faith teaches us, that it's personified evil, that it is that the devil was a created being, an angel that fell from heaven and took a lot of others, uh, fallen angels who became demons. And my experience has been that it was personified evil. Some people, went into, especially in the 60s and 70s, started believing that, through psychology and all that, oh, this is just an evil part of us and all that. And it's like, absolutely not. No, this is something in and of itself. Um, that is, there's a demonic spirit. Now there are evil parts of ourselves. There's mental illness. There is all that kind of stuff, but there is also absolutely personified evil, and I've done battle with it. So
So, so how are we allowing demonic entities to enter into our atmosphere because of negative energy that we put out? Like, when we always say that if you're negative, you create a negative feeling around you. Are we bringing it in, or how do they get into our lives the way they do? Because some of the stories that you see are very dark and very scary,
yes.
and you wonder, how did that start? How did that manifest itself to the way it does?
Uh, in some instances, we don't know, but other instances, it's opening doors and opening portals. There are people who playing around with Ouija boards, who are playing around with with seances and conjuring up, and they think that that's fun and that they're conjuring up spirits of loved ones. But when you start doing all of that and you open doors and portals to the other world, you don't know what's coming through. And a demonic spirit will lie. It will even lie and pretend it's a child to win the affection of some, and then enter into their level. And if you open yourselves to that kind of thing, to conjuring and all of that, then quite possibly you open the door. That's what happened with the original Exorcist. They were playing with the Ouija board, you know, playing around with it, and they got something negative that came through.
So, have you, in your time, like, have you witnessed someone with a possession, something that's possessed someone?
I've I've experienced people who were obsessed and oppressed. Once only have I dealt with someone who that I could say absolutely was possessed. And at that point, because we do not do exorcisms without the permission of our bishop, because it's a very dangerous procedure, and we got to fit the criteria at the time. And for doing exorcism. So I called the bishop of the diocese that I happened to be in, and he was very open to it, and he knew me, and so he was able to get them help with an exorcist. But that was only once that when people talk about, oh, this one's possessed, I saw this, for most of the point, I would argue they're not possessed that people see. Everybody and their brother is an exorcist,
Yeah.
nowadays. And you come through a real demonic spirit that fits the criteria. It's dangerous. You don't forget that. You don't forget that. It's not a simple thing, and it's not something that is resolved in one issue or one instance most of the time.
So,
You
so looking at TV, right? So
know.
when you're watching the paranormal stuff on TV, I would say a good 80% of it, they say it's a demonic entity. It's always something demonic, something very dark. In your opinion, are they right, or is this just to hypen up the TV audience to make them want to watch and give them that scare factor?
Well, I don't watch a lot of the shows because I do the work. And when you do the work, you don't really watch much.
Yeah.
I watch a few shows, but from what I've heard and what I've seen, when people say, I got instantly, momentarily possessed, and it goes in and out, it's like, no, that's not, So I think that I don't know. I think that a lot of it is, there's something other than a demonic spirit, or if it is a demonic spirit, then they need to be very careful. And there are a few groups that I really respect, and I see them encountering demonic spirits and talking in their own name. It's like, no, guys, don't. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. So I think I think a number of them probably do have a dark spirit that they've encountered. But when you do that, you can't just play around like it's a human spirit and talk to it like a human spirit, because they'll clobber you.
No, no,
You know,
definitely.
they're fallen angels. They've got angelic powers.
And coming to mind, I was watching. I can't remember who it was, but someone on YouTube, a content creator on YouTube, and they were trying to explain what they believe a demonic entity is and how it appears. So if we think about the worst people in the world, like these people that go to prison, I won't say what they, but people like your Ted Bundys and people that have done really bad things. When they die, they turn into these demonic entities because of how evil they were. Do you believe that's a possibility that they're past people that were very evil that have no place in the higher purpose, so they end up these dark shadows, these dark demonic demonic entities?
Yeah, I don't believe they're demons, because demons are created. They're fallen angels, but they are dark spirits. They're what we call damned human souls, and they act in conjunction with demonic forces. And the way I deal with those is the same way I would deal with a demon. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I do believe it's possible.
So
Yep.
when we die, then say, like, if I use an example, like, have you ever seen the film The Green Mile with Tom Hanks?
Oh yeah.
And
Yep. Yeah.
basically,
Great
he
movie.
works on the green. Yeah, absolutely brilliant movie. But when they commit someone to their death, so basically when they're due to be executed, they say a part where like God will make the final decision, like when they go up to him. Do Even though we've done bad things, do we not get a choice to meet our maker and then decide what happens then, or is it once you're a bad person, you're condemned to go to the other side?
My opinion, there are two opinions on that. There are two traditions about that. My tradition that I fall back on is, I believe even to the point of death, we are given one more chance to have remorse for what we've done. Because God is so merciful, He wants our salvation. He doesn't want our condemnation. He'll do whatever He can to try and save us, even sending His own Son to die in our place. So I believe that even at the point of death, God gives you a choice even then. But a lot of times, there's so much anger and hatred and whatever, they may not accept that. They lived a life of anger and violence, and they die with that, in their free will. So,
Wow.
but yeah, I think there's a possibility.
And then you said that there was a second possibility that other people believe. Is that right?
Well, the other way is that, no, you're once condemned, always, you're
You're
condemned,
always talking
and
to
that's
that.
it. And once you die, that's it. You know. Um, so, but even we can't even say that Judas is in hell. We don't know. We don't know that, even though he hung himself in and died in despair. We don't know if he repented before he did that, or as he was doing it. Had a second thought about it. So.
Yeah.
So with religion and the paranormal, do you find it difficult to split the two when you're there as like investigating or looking into the paranormal? Do you find it difficult with your religion and your belief?
No, not at all. Um, because when I'm going in, like to a home, I'm going in to investigate what a person is feeling. I believe that it's a in the home or whatever. I'm going in to see what is in there. We're forbidden to conjure up spirits, but we're not forbidden to try to find out what's in a certain locale or a certain home on a certain property, or what's attacking a certain person. That's not conjuring. That's just we're trying to figure out what's there. For me, a spirit, aka ghost. Uh, I believe that sometimes people, when they die, the norm when you die is that you go to wherever you're supposed to be, depending on your state in life, what you lived, heaven, hell, or purgatory. But were there some who had unfinished business, or who died unprovided death, or who were just absolutely afraid to cross over at that point? And we all have free will. And I would think that that free will carries us into the next world, and that perhaps God honors that free will, and so they become earthbound spirits. Others are what we call purgatorial spirits, spirits that have come to some of the saints and asked for prayers, asked for help in order to be able to be released and go into the light. So it's compatible for me. It's compatible with my faith. I don't have a problem with that. you know Again, the problem I have is conjuring, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Mm.
And we know a lot of paranormal teams. I hold my hand up. I've messed with a Ouija board. I believe Nando and his paranormal team, or the team that you,
Oh
not
yeah,
you
yeah.
personally, but the team that you've used Ouija boards in the past. What would you say to someone that decided that they wanted to go out and buy a Ouija board? What would you actually say to them about the dangers of it?
Well, the danger is that using it when it's a divination, and it's a form of divination. So when you're actually using it and you're asking if somebody's out there, or even if you're asking a certain person, you don't know what's going to come through on the other side. You're opening a door, a portal, and you don't know what's there. Same thing with a seance. You don't know what's there. And there have been noted uh, examples of people who have used that Ouija board and have thought they were, calling in Uncle Marty or whatever comes through seems to be a child, and it isn't. It's a demonic entity, and then you're in a lot of trouble. It's hard to. It's not as easy to close a portal as it is to open one.
So once, for you, like you've dealt with some dark cases, and you've lived. What do you do to prepare yourself then? Because I can imagine for someone that does work for God, and you're a man of God now, you know, it does it like you get that feeling instantly where you're not welcome, especially when you're potentially dealing with a dark entity. You know, it must be quite difficult. So, what do you do to prepare yourself, and you know, and how do you sort of cleanse yourself afterwards?
Right.
You
That's
know,
a great question. And that's one that I try to teach people through workshops and all that. For paranormal investigators, even if they're going in, they're thinking it's a haunt. You don't know for sure. Therefore, you should protect yourselves, whatever your faith
mm.
tradition is. That I do certain prayers, and I invoke certain saints to be with me. I invoke the blood of Jesus to cover me and for protection. I try to, um, just be in prayer, and again, repent, go to confession, whatever I have to do. to be able to be strong spiritually. Sometimes it may call for fasting too. And when you go in there, and when I go in, again, I assume the attitude of prayer, and I bring with me tools of the trade, I call, and that may be blessed metals, exorcised holy water or holy salt, blessed incense, blessed candles, and then afterwards, again, I do a prayer of protection, uh, again, uh, commanding that no presence can follow us home. And again, I don't do any of that in my own name. I always do it in the name of Jesus Christ, so that it carries authority in the weight of my ministry. But yeah, you got to do all of that, and in particularly if you think it's a dark, all the more a dark entity. But a lot of times I've dealt with paranormal investigators who have said, I think I got an attachment. I think something came home with me. Okay, did you pray? Did you pray afterwards? No. I said, well, you got to, you have to.
Okay.
So
Well, we have a question from Ollie, and welcome, Oliver, to the show. Um, is holy water a real thing?
yes, absolutely.
What?
And the reason why we call it holy water, the reason why it's so powerful is that we take water, which is again a reminder of our baptism, but also we take it from its common use. We call it profane use, common use. And as a priest, I exorcise it. So I consecrate it for holy use, making it a purified element to be used in the spiritual battle. And so, yeah, it does. It makes a difference. I use it all the time, even here in my apartment.
Oh, wow. I hope that answers your question, Ollie. Um, we see, like, when we watch television shows, you see people saying about boiling water, leaving the water in the moonlight, and it cleanses the water and it makes it holy. Is that a real thing, or is it myth?
I mean that I think that's other traditions. Like I do it from my Catholic tradition, where we have a special exorcism blessing for the water. Other people have other. Yeah, I've heard of the moon thing, and that's their tradition. That's their tradition. But whatever they feel is going to help them. So it's not something I would do in my tradition, but that's only because it's not my tradition. So I don't know. I don't know if it helps or doesn't, but I have heard of it,
Okay.
and I would
Now,
imagine if they put their faith in it, then it would have some efficacy. I'm sure.
okay. Interesting.
So with the you say that you do prayers. You're always praying along lines. Now, when we do investigations, you get some people that don't necessarily believe in the two worlds of God, the devil, and things like that. So we don't tend to do prayers, but we do like a protection call out where we use the great, like this really bright ball that's going to ground us. Does that work for people? Like, what? Maybe the question I'm really trying to ask is, if someone doesn't believe in God, when you die, you just disappear. Like, what happens to those people that go through their whole life and not believing that there's something more than God? Because you do get those people that are very against believing things like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand why they would even get into doing this stuff. Because if you believe that you're looking for otherworldliness, then you've got to believe that there's something that created the otherworldliness. There's something higher,
Mm.
even a divine, a higher power, as some of my non-Christian friends call it. So I don't know why you would go into it, and especially if you encounter evil, how can you believe in evil if there's no good? You know, um, I know some people who say they believe in the demonic, but they don't believe in God, or and it's like I don't understand that at all. So
I find it weird because there's always two sides to a coin, isn't there? You can't believe in one
yeah,
side and not,
you have
if
to
they, we go
logic,
through life, is it? Yeah, logic is we go through life and there's always good and evil. You got the
right?
good people that live, not committing crime and things like that, and then you got the other side where they live a life of crime. And surely that's
Right.
going to be the same in the spirit world. But it does baffle me that people that
Yeah,
I've met along the way that enjoy doing, like going on a ghost hunt, for example, searching for spirits, but then in
yeah,
another breath they say they don't believe in things like God and things like that. Well, surely, spirits and things like there's got to be another world for them to be living in,
right.
for them to be able to communicate and with all these stories. So yeah, I do agree. It does baffle me as well. But yeah.
I don't know. It'd be a great thing to talk to them on. It just I don't
But then
know.
for you, this is going, like, this is not necessarily the paranormal side of it. This is your personal experience. You know, you've been a priest. I'm not sure how long now, but
About
Father,
33 years.
33 years.
Wow.
What did you get, like some kind of sign to be in, like to become a priest? So what made you become, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh no, not at all. It's something I've wanted since I was a child. I've always been interested in religious things, since I was younger. And then my mother's cousin was a priest, and he used to come to my grandparents' house. Um, I'm half Italian, so he was an Italian priest. He used to come to my grandparents' house next door. Yep, again, and he would have supper with them, and then he would go outside to smoke his cigar, and it would just be he and I speaking for a couple of hours. And it was every Tuesday, and I shot every question. He taught me, but he taught me solid stuff because he was an old time Italian priest. So he taught me about miracles. He taught me about demons. He taught me about miracles of the saints and and the saints do. So I had all of this at a very young age, and it fascinated me. And I don't know at what point that made me whatever. I do remember I always loved religious things, but I didn't always like to go to church as a kid because it meant I had to take a bath when I was real young. And it's a joke, but it is true. It's like, oh, and I was kind of I don't know what you would call it in British, but uh, I wasn't the nicest kid in church. I was very hyperactive, and but uh, but still, I did. I mean, I used to play priest when I was young, and and so once I got into junior high school, and then in high school, I firmed up that yeah, this is what I want to do with my life. Definitely, I knew, but there was always a part of me that because I believed in good versus evil, that I wanted to kind of conquer the darkness with my priesthood. So
Mm.
that was early on. Early on, when I saw the Omen, I actually saw part of my life in that.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah, back then.
Um,
So
Ollie, bless him, has sent another and answer if you want to, because I appreciate some subjects maybe a little bit. But Oliver has asked, "Have you ever been involved in an exorcism?" And then his next part to that is, "And if so, what was it like?"
okay, yes. When I believe it or not, only once. I was young, and I was a member of the charismatic movement, the Catholic charismatic movement, as a young adult. And when we were I was helping praying over people, and all of a sudden we heard this god awful blood curdling growl go through the whole hall, and it kept happening. So we realized that we were dealing with somebody um, who had some kind of a demonic influence, and at that point they know they needed to do an exorcism. Because I wanted to be a priest, because they knew my level of faith, they allowed me to be a part of the team. My only role in the whole thing was to say the Hail Mary continually, which I did. And then they warned me, if the thing turns at you, don't look at it. And at one point, there was one of the team members throwing holy water, and it started growling, and it turned around. It didn't turn around like completely circle, but in a weird way. And unfortunately, I looked at him, and I to this day I remember the look. It was like an animal. It was contorted. The face was contorted, and for a second, it scared the daylights out of me, and I just kept saying the Hail Mary, because I know I couldn't be afraid. If you're afraid of it, it's like an animal that senses fear. So, um, yeah. So thank God it ended up being positive after a couple of tries. He was delivered from that,
Wow.
but that was my only time. And he was going around, like an animal on the ground on all fours and growling, and it was horrible. And that's why I say these people who think it's not it's not a common thing, but it's also, if it's true, and that I would consider a minor possession.
Oh wow.
That would be a minor possession. A major possession is what the exorcists that I know, like Father Gabriel Amorth and others, Father Carlos Martins, what they encounter are things that you can't even imagine.
Wow.
You know, when their faces are contorted, their faces are marked up, their bodies are marked up. They experience levitation with the body. You know.
That's
Things
what I was
that,
going to ask. Do they rise off the bed like you see in the TV shows?
yes, they
Lift
can.
up?
I have not seen that, but others have. And yeah, it's amazing. Even what I experienced in that as a young adult, I was saying, thank God I still lived with my parents, because I had to go home that night, and it was like I didn't want to go home to an empty house. That's how much it bothered me. It's like, and I like horror movies, but you know what? The reality was scarier than the horror movies. They don't bother me. They
No,
don't bother me at all.
it's like we go out paranormal investigation, but then when me and Nando have a habit that we talk pretty much every day, and we
Mhm.
talk over video chat, and then something will happen in Nando's house. And I remember the one time that sits with me the most is we had just done a podcast. I was a guest on Nando's show, and we were talking, and the door handles started shaking in his house, and he literally went, right, you're coming with me. And he went around the entire house, turned all the lights off, and walked up the stairs with me still on alive, just so I could see him get into his bedroom, so he was safe with his wife. And it was like,
Yeah.
wow, we go out, we
I
look for ghosts, but the minute it happens at home, that's it, done.
Oh
I
yeah.
think the reason being though is like when you think about your home, that's your safe space. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Of
you
course.
you have to have that element of when you're out, that's one thing, but when you're in your own home, that's where nothing should be with you. But I do believe strongly that's my grandfather. Every
Yeah.
time, like I've had some struggles over the years, and every time I struggle, I sense like I can smell the tobacco he would smoke, or there's certain things like the smell of as you would know from an Italian background, espresso coffee. He used to love his espresso coffee, and you could smell it very strongly. So I
No
think that's
garlic.
what that is. Sorry.
No garlic.
No, I haven't had the garlic, but I'm always cooking with garlic, so I don't think I'll be
Uh,
able to tell the
there's
difference. Is
never
that him
there's
or is that
never
just
such
me?
thing as enough garlic. Too much garlic.
No,
There's
no,
never.
garlic is great,
Yep.
but
Italians, it's too
oh,
much.
mate, okay. But with religion, this is not so much paranormal. Do you believe like the religion evolves with the times that we go through? And the reason I say that, I used to go to church every Sunday. I used to be an altar boy in the Catholic Church.
Hmm.
Um, And I always wanted, when I realised I wanted to marry my partner, my wife now, I wanted to do it the traditional way in the church.
Hmm.
But I found the way. the Catholic Church perceived us sort of changed my belief in a way, because as you can imagine, as we got older, things change. Money is very tight, so it's very hard to do traditional ways. And we ended up having kids before we got married, and one of the priests actually refused to marry us because of that. Do
Yeah,
you
that
think
that that shouldn't have happened.
but that's the thing, and that really changed the way I saw all
Yeah.
my beliefs, because he was under the belief, because of the way the Bible was written or the way he'd been taught, because me and my partner had kids, we had sinned. But I couldn't see it as a sin because I'm here for my kids every day. I would see it more of a sin if I had kids and I wasn't there, but
Mhm.
I still showed the love that God wants us to show. I'm devoted to my wife.
Hmm.
Do you feel that religion does evolve as we go through time, or do you think it's stuck in the past in a way? And if you don't want to answer
Well,
that, you don't have to.
no. Well, no. I think there are some absolute truths that are there anyway. But it's you know, like like, do I believe that sexuality belongs within marriage? Yes, I will say that. But conversely, no one should deny someone who wants to come for a Christian marriage, who's looking for that. That was the sin of an individual. That's not the whole church. Just like there are priests who refuse baptism, and and that's very contrary to the heart of the Pope, the Holy Father, Pope Francis. And it's like I would never, never, never say no to an infant being baptized. So just like in anything else, individuals can falter, but I still believe in the purity of what the faith
Mm.
stands for. So, you know, I think that it's in, I think some things are absolutes. And, you know, eh, we as Catholics believe that the Mass is the sacrifice of Christ and that we receive the Eucharist. And the Eucharist is the most powerful gift that was given to us by our Lord at the Last Supper. So, and I believe that the practice of the church since the early days has always been that we gather as a people of faith to celebrate the Eucharist, and that's historical. But but again, how we because of modern things and pressures that go on. There are sometimes, like I know friends who have to work 2, 3 jobs, you know, and sometimes it's difficult to get to mass, especially if they have jobs on the weekends. So I say, well, go when you can. I mean, obviously you have a job and all that, or go during the week.
Mm.
Go. We have mass every day. So so there are ways of adapting in that sense. But I think the faith is important enough that we need to promote it in the home and in the family as well. I think that's what's lacking, and I think that's why you're seeing so much chaos in the world today. We don't have those values. People just are sometimes dog eat dog. You know.
Do you think sometimes people read into the Bible too much and get the wrong
Yes.
understanding of what because you do get the people that really
Yes.
take into the Bible and they think everything is in a certain way, but actually they're not seeing it for what it should be.
I agree. Yes, and again, that's why you know we in the church that we have the teaching authority of the church, that coming down through sacred traditions. So we have a way of dealing, and sometimes people, you have people that run away with different scripture passages, and they run away and have their own meaning to it, and then they start, sometimes they start a whole religion on it, and you know. Yeah, I think you definitely can take the Bible and read it out of context and justify anything you want, you
Mm.
know.
Okay. We have an interesting question from Emma. And again, as Nando said, feel free to answer it if you want to. If you don't, we won't take offense. But I think it's something that people actually would be interested to know your views and opinion. So Emma asks, what is your view on LGBT marriage within religion?
Well, as a Catholic Christian, I don't, but again, we're called. The Holy Father calls us to respect. What goes on in in the civil law. You have to respect and love people who make other decisions. Because we differ and because we may not agree doesn't mean that we should hate other people. That's what I've seen in some religions, that they hate. It's a license to hate just because you don't agree, and I don't think that that's reality. I have friends who are married, gay friends who are married, you know just because I don't agree maybe with what they did doesn't mean I don't love them and I'm going to ostracize them and hate them. No, that's not what we're called to do.
See, that I respect,
Yeah,
because you can disagree with something in a healthy
Correct.
way. But I think, again, this is where people read religion in the wrong context.
Yeah.
Because, I've seen situation and involving Rob, admittedly, if you don't mind me bringing this up, Rob, but someone, and I'm not going to mention names because that's not what we do, but someone, because of what the Bible states, they clearly stated that Rob was a sinner. But at the end of the day, you can't help who you love at the end of the day. And I think, but the way you've said it, I respect that totally. Just because you may not agree with something doesn't mean that you can't be nice to him or be, as you said, you can't love them. You can still love them,
Right.
even though that you have a
Yeah.
different belief. And that's the right way to go about religion. And I think that's where people get religion really wrong. They see it as a one-way tunnel when actually there are little off tunnels that they need to investigate to get the true meaning of what's meant to be in the Bible.
yeah,
Right. And I think there's intolerance on both sides, because I get this whole thing, well, if you don't agree with us, then you're a hater, you're this. No, that doesn't mean that. It
no,
just means that, because I disagree. I mean, I disagree on other things, choices friends have made, but that doesn't mean I hate them.
yeah,
That doesn't mean they can't come to my house. That doesn't mean they can't, that I'm not going to hang around with them. That's not what Jesus would want us to do. So he just wants us to love. That doesn't mean we have to agree with everything, but
yeah,
we have
Mm,
to love one another. And because we may not agree does not mean that we hate. And that's what gets me. That's one thing that gets me very angry. Militants on the LGBTQ thing that say, okay, you don't agree with me, you're a hater, you hate me, you're anti, yeah. And it's like, no, that's offensive to me.
yeah.
no,
You know.
And I appreciate that. I relate to that. So thank you for that. Oliver's asked, going back to the paranormal, do you believe that Ed and Lorraine Warren were good for the paranormal or bad with how they dealt with the church?
I think they were very good, and I think the church has used them also in cases. And I had the privilege of, I only met Ed once, but I have worked with Lorraine Warren. I
oh
love her
wow,
dearly. I love her, loved her dearly, and still through death, um, people have heard her calling my name.
Oh wow,
So yeah, yeah.
wow,
So on the voice boxes or whatever they call them,
yeah,
and. So yeah, no, I believe they were good. I believe what they did. Were they perfect? No, but I mean, my friend has a society that he's known the Warrens for like 40 years, and his name is Joe Frankie. He's a great one to get on the
yeah.
show. I don't know if you've heard of him.
yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, yeah, and he's just began the Warren Society. You
Okay,
know, for that. So you know.
might see if we can approach him. That'd be interesting because I know recently there's been a lot of um, again, we won't name names, but the debunking community that have
Oh yeah,
said that Ed and Lorraine were fakers. They
yeah,
took money for faking a lot of stuff, and that it was all a load of old rubbish. But when you say that there's a foundation in their name, and you listen to other people that have had experiences with Ed and Lorraine, it's like, well, who's right and who's wrong in the argument at the
right.
end of the day?
I think you have to go with those who knew him. Like these debunkers never knew Ed and Lorraine. They're just and I think some of it. I'm going to be bold. I think some of it's jealousy because maybe they're not making it big enough, and and so they're getting their their prime time by name calling and debunking, supposedly, but that they never knew the Warrens. Now, my friend Joe knew them. He could tell you. And we'll say, are they perfect? No, nobody's perfect. But
Mm.
I have deepest. They're the godparents of the paranormal, as far as I'm concerned. You know.
That's fair enough.
I think it is, when we think about Ed and Lorraine Warren, a lot of their stuff would have been done before a lot of our time. They're going back, you know, and it's hard because you're only basing it on either what someone else has said or a
Correct.
video that they've seen. And I think maybe what's affected, in my opinion, and maybe other people don't agree, maybe what's affected Ed and Lorraine's work is the way the films have portrayed what they did. I
Yes.
think, I think, if I'm honest with their work, I think Hollywood has damaged them or
Mm.
damaged their name a lot more.
Agreed.
And I think that's where a lot of people are basing their information on. Well, let's watch The Conjuring. Let's watch
Yeah.
this one about it. And then when you get into the nitty gritty of things, like I had the pleasure of speaking to Andrea. My wife had the pleasure of speaking to Andrea Parron, who actually
Hmm.
lived in the Conjuring house. And
Yep.
there's a different side to the story completely to what and I think that's the problem. People need to realize Hollywood, as great as the films that they do, but it can also be damaging when you're talking about true events or basing things on true events because they never get it 100% accurate because they got to sell a film at the end of the day.
Yeah, I
And
totally
I don't
agree.
know why they have to make up anything because the truth is scarier than fiction when it
Yeah.
comes to the Warren stuff. Just like there was a movie out called The Pope's Exorcist. It was horrible,
That was
Is
horrible.
that Russell Crowe? Is
that.
that the
Yeah.
one with Russell Crowe?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
That was not Father Amorth at all. And it's like they just made up this character, and it's like, go into his books, read his real accounts. Those things are scarier than, the truth is scarier than fiction. I don't know why they had to make things and change things and make him into a caricature that he was not. It's like I don't get it with Hollywood.
Hmm.
It's
So
and
going on to obviously the Ed and Lorraine Warren, Emma asks, which is a very touch cloth subject, but would you say that debunkers are bad for the paranormal in how much hatred they spread out about certain people like Ed and Lorraine?
I think when they don't know what they're talking about, when they don't have any proof, when they don't have never known them, yeah, they're bad. Absolutely, they are. However, anybody, really, people in the paranormal who have been doing it realize that you're going to have detractors. Everybody has detractors, and the more good you do, the more detractors you're going to get. You know.
I think that's with anything in life, isn't it? Like you're always going to be
Absolutely, absolutely.
again.
Yeah.
It's always going to be there. That as much as you can do, you're always going to have the people that are going to dislike you. Like you can walk into a workplace and you have 50% of people that are going to like you and get on with you. Then you're going to
Yep.
have another 50% that you just don't gel with, and I think that's what we need to understand. I think when you're thinking about the paranormal side of it, it's always good to have that level head, like to debunk things. Like we did an investigation this weekend.
Yes.
I
Yes.
I asked, I got a picture that seemed a little bit odd, and I asked for an opinion with Rob. and he thinks it's a shadow from course from a light. I think you got to have that level head, because if you think everything's paranormal, you're going to go crazy and not.
Yeah,
And I think that's where people are going to start. You're not going to be able to separate real life to paranormal. Do you know what I mean? So it's good in a sense,
absolutely.
but then again, with all situations, this is there's certain things that the way people go about it is the wrong way to do it. You know,
Yeah,
but
and I think you need to go into it with skepticism,
mm,
and you got to go in, you know, believing that there may be a real explanation, because you know, more often than not, a lot of times you guys would know that just as well. There are natural explanations for what we encounter. So if you're going in gullible, gullible, just believing everything is paranormal, you're not going to do diligence to to the people to really help them. You
Yeah,
know,
no,
granted,
definitely.
sometimes they don't want to hear the truth. The clients,
yeah,
but you got to
but
go in there. Yeah, you got to debunk what's going on. You've got to try to do that.
yeah.
You
No,
know?
that makes sense. And when I've been out on investigations with my housemate, little Rob, we try to, as a team, debunk things. Like if we're out in the middle of a wood, for example, and we're getting something that's coming up or noises, we try and debunk that first before we suddenly go, oh my god, it's paranormal. There's something chasing us, or we try. And I know when I've been out with Nando and his team, we've done the same thing. We've always sat there and been like, well, there was that one time that we thought we had a great EVP, and it turned out that it was Lex.
There was someone sneezing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we
Oh,
Well,
didn't we didn't know he sneezed at the time, but it was afterwards. It was like we listening back on the EVP, and we're like, "Oh wow, listen to that!" And then it was like, "Yeah, no, I sneezed."
yeah.
Okay,
Well, you got to think about the elements around you. If
yes,
you've got a sensitive light out in the cold, but it's raining and you're under a tree and the trees are falling on top of it, it's going to set the lights off, isn't it? You
yes,
can't say that's paranormal, but that's where you got to have a level head. You got to think about the elements around you, and if it's raining and the rain's hitting your equipment, it's going to set your equipment off, isn't it?
it is. It
Logic
is.
says, but that's why I think it's healthy to have that frame of mind, like being able to determine the two, paranormal to logic. And I think that's where people go wrong. But then there's a way of
Absolutely.
addressing it as well. You don't have to be so, I don't know, personal. I don't know how to explain it, but there's a way of doing it nicely. That's
yeah,
what I
Uh,
would say.
yes, yes. And by the way, let me just take this opportunity before I forget to say I love England. I love the British people. I've been there once, and I had the best time, best people. I do have British roots. Bailey is originally a British name, um,
okay,
Okay.
back in the 1300s. So I'm an Anglophile. I love all things British. I love British movies. I'm a Downton Abbey diehard fan. So I'm just very happy to be with an audience from the UK, and I love the UK.
thank you.
But in
So,
all
yeah.
honesty, if you had to pick the UK and Italy, which one would you go with?
Right now, the UK,
Thank you.
because I've
Oh
been to Italy
my
many
word!
times. No, well,
Oh
because I've been
my
to Italy many times. I've only
word!
been to the UK once, and I'm dying to go back.
So,
Oh,
what part of the US are you from?
From up in New England, Rhode Island, the smallest state in the Union, right next to Massachusetts.
that's
Ah,
cool.
okay, nice.
We have Newport is, in our state.
Do you have many what we would call as haunted locations
Oh
where
my gosh, a ton of them. All of New England is
really?
very haunted, very haunted, and we have a lot of Native American things because of, you know, a number of cases I've had also had connections to Native American.
Oh,
So
okay. Nice.
Wow.
yeah, there are tons and tons of places.
So if you could go on an investigation, where would you love to go?
Me, anywhere,
Yeah.
it would be, although I don't know if physically I can do it anymore, I would love to go to a castle in the UK where there's residual hauntings. I would love to.
Ah,
See, when I consider hauntings as a child, I always thought of castles in England and
Yeah,
Scotland and all of that. Yeah,
that's good.
yeah,
That's good to know. I like that. That's a
yeah.
great answer.
Well, because there's so much history there. I mean, we only have 200 plus years. You guys have got. I went to a castle there um, that my ancestors owned.
wow.
Way up in the family tree. It's oh my God, Mammoth. M- Oh my gosh, I had a senior. I'm having a senior moment, but anyways, when I was there, my friend took me there, and it was an amazing experience. Just put my hands on the walls and just say, "This is where my British ancestors, owned
Wow.
this castle." I didn't realize till after I left there that it was haunted. Go figure.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it, but
no,
yeah.
that's
That's
great.
brilliant.
Nando?
What's
Um,
that?
no, I'm still shocked that he chose the UK over Italy. To be honest, that's
Well, only because I've been to Italy a number of times.
What's your favourite part of Italy? Like,
Um, I would have to say, well, I love Rome because there's so much to do there.
yeah,
But if I had to do it, I like Tuscany.
yeah, Tuscany's lovely.
Yeah,
Tuscany.
it's a
Um,
beautiful. They say the Amalfi Coast too, but I've never been there.
no, I'm from Naples originally.
Oh,
So it's
now
like the loud part of
Huh,
Italy. So,
yeah,
but
explains
no,
a
my
lot then.
my grandparents came from. It's in between Naples and Rome. It's in the province called Frosinone. It's
mm,
near Monte Cassino,
yeah, yeah, I
right
know.
near there.
Yeah,
Mm.
but
Um,
no, it's a great. So this could be something that will top this off for me because we've had this debate over the years of getting to know each other.
here
You
we
know where I'm
go.
going with it. So pizzas. Do you like your pizzas?
Oh, do I?
Yeah. Does pineapple belong to a pizza? Belong on a pizza?
Heresy. That's heresy. They should be burnt at the stake.
So, have you seen what the Australians are doing? There's a
No.
company in Australia that have removed the pineapple because they don't think it should be on there and replaced it with segments of orange instead.
Oh, it's all right.
I sent it to Nando the other day on Facebook, and he just sent me a very interesting reply, which can't say on air.
Well, officially, I say it's a heresy. It's terrible. But privately, I have had Hawaiian, what they call Hawaiian pizza that has ham and pineapple. It is good.
It is
I,
good. Thank you very much, Bob.
I can't deny it, but
Okay.
it's not traditional pizza. I like traditional pizza.
Is it? It's not traditional. Did you hear that though, Rob? It's
No,
not traditional. But
traditional in
anyway.
the UK. We got one more question from Emma, and she says, "Would you do the catacombs?"
Ooh.
Which catacombs?
This is it. I don't know because I know there's some in Paris, isn't there, where all the
Oh,
bones are in the wall and underground.
oh
And
yeah, yeah. I've been to the catacombs in Italy. In
what was that
Rome, I've been
like?
to. Amazing, amazing. The other subterranean. Just realizing again at the time, I just knowing that the early martyrs, the early Christians, like hid in there and had to have their worship there. Their masses there, and to avoid persecution. It's amazing, and some of them are just like underground cities of the dead, like amazing. You know,
Mm.
but yeah, it's great. And when we were in one of the catacombs, I drew back a little bit from as the tour guide was talking. I had brought a spoon from the hotel, so I took some of the dirt, put it in a pill thing, and to bring it home to say this is from the catacombs. But yeah, it's amazing. And yeah, I would if it's the ones in Paris. Yeah, I've seen movies on that. Uh, I've never been to really to France per se.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's something
Uh,
I'd like to do. The catacombs. I've seen so many other investigators go to the catacombs. I think if I ever got the chance to go, I would definitely take up on it.
yeah, I've never seen any paranormal investigations of the catacombs there, but I've seen like specials documentaries on it.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
That's
Nando,
great. Do you know what? I really enjoyed the chat and the questions. And do you know, I've got to be honest, when whenever we usually bring up religion, I quite shy away from it because it's such a you could it could either go one or two ways. You're going to end up upsetting someone because their beliefs don't match your beliefs. And usually try and steer. It's like politics. You try and steer clear of it, don't you? Because you can never have
Sometimes, yeah.
do you know what I mean? But no, I'm surprisingly, I've really enjoyed, talking about it, and I think this is the first time I've actually done a show based really around religion, and yeah, I've really enjoyed getting to know you and listening to, what
Oh,
you've
thank
done,
you.
and
Same
thank
here.
you, and thank you for being so open and honest with the questions that we've asked you. It's
yeah,
been brilliant.
Oh, you're welcome.
we've actually touched on questions that normally me and Nando sit there going, "Oh no."
Usually, this is what happens when these sort of question comes up.
Yeah, Nando normally disappears because he's like, "I don't want to be a part of this."
I usually, yeah, but like I said, because it's such a controversial conversation, and because of the way people believe in certain things, and they, like I was saying to you, they read the Bible in a certain way where they're not taking the right content from it, and it's
Hmm.
screw whipping the way they think. And I think, but no, having this conversation tonight has been really good, and
Yeah,
That's
thank you
great.
very much. It's been great.
No, I have the Holy Sword Apostle. I don't do faith and reason anymore. My partner at the time, who just kind of got out of the paranormal and then left me with the bag, and changed his phone number and all of this stuff. And and I wish him well. I'm sure we're gonna, you know, I'm sure I'll see him again.
Mm,
But I needed a fresh start, so I began the Holy Sword Apostolate, and as part of that, I do have people that have a board that are of different. I have a shaman, good friend of mine. He's very interesting, and then another woman who's a shaman, but she also is able to sense demons. She's
oh,
very good at her abilities, which again is a blessing. And so we have people from different traditions. I have a dear friend of mine who's esoteric, you know, and who's actually teaching me how to use the gifts that I feel from the Holy Spirit to help me when I go into a home or something, because I'm getting more sensitive now that I'm doing it on my own.
yeah,
And so he's helping me on that. And you know what? You know, if they're not
right.
against us, they're with us.
that's it.
Yeah,
Very true. It's very true.
and it's just great that you're showing people that you can have different backgrounds and still come
Yeah.
together and do something positive.
Yeah,
Because I think that's the big problem with society and the way we live our lives. A lot of people, one, they think they need to stick to their own religion and they can't necessarily mix with other people with different beliefs. But hopefully people seeing this and listening to the way you talk about not just about religion but people's own preference in sexuality and things like that, you may not necessarily agree, but it doesn't mean you
Mm,
can't get on with a person.
that's true.
Everyone,
absolutely.
and that's what I think people, and this is coming from someone that's lived his life serving God, and if he can do it, why can't everyone else do it?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
so thank you for that as well.
Yeah,
It's
thank.
it's called security. I'm secure in my Catholic Christian faith. I'm very secure. So I don't feel threatened when other belief systems come. I
Mm,
don't. I'm secure in what I feel about my own morality. So I'm not. I'm not insecure if people come to me, in other, who have made other choices. I just not. It's just when you're secure, when you're not, like I think some of these most angry people are insecure people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
There's something
I
really
agree.
wrong. There's
Yeah.
something really wrong.
No,
But
I would agree with that. I would agree with that 100%. Well, I just want to say thank you ever so much for coming on the show.
you're welcome. It was fun.
As Nando said, it's not something that we've ever touched on
Touched
before. And then
on.
someone said, why don't you get it from a religious point of view? So I was like, okay. So I started having a look. And then it was as if it was a sign, because all of a sudden you popped up on Facebook and it was like, okay. So then obviously I made contact and here we are now. So yeah, it was as if someone was saying, speak to Father Bob.
Well,
It's
I'm glad they
divine
did.
intervention.
It
Yeah, no,
It's been great.
yeah, it has been really good.
has been.
It's been good.
Has been.
So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you taking the time out.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be reaching the UK. And to be speaking for another country. I think this is my first.
Really?
Oh, brilliant. Well,
Oh,
we're
well,
happy
Yeah, my
about that.
first
even more.
podcast for the country, and I'm thrilled that it's from the UK.
Thank
Well,
you.
I wish to
we'll
be from
definitely have to
Italy
do a
too
follow up.
sometime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. If you ever come over, let us know, and we're all meet up.
Oh yeah,
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 for sure.
absolutely,
Bring you on an
absolutely.
investigation with us.
Oh, that would be wonderful. That would be
Okay.
wonderful.
No, that's cool. But yeah, we're definitely invite you back.
Okay,
We're starting a new podcast soon, so we will definitely get you back when the new run starts, and yeah, we can go more in depth in the religious side of things, because I find it really interesting.
It's
Really
been
sounds
interesting.
good.
it's been really good to see. Like Rob said, we talk very loosely about religion, but to get someone from a religious background and go into depth like we've done tonight has been absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thanks so much for sharing your thoughts and your experiences. It's been great. Really enjoyed it.
I'm glad. Same here. Same here.
Thank you very much. Okay, I will put you into the back room, sir, and thank you very much for taking the time out of
All
your week.
right. God bless the King and God bless the UK.
Thank you
Take
very much.
care.
God bless you as well,
Bye
sir.
bye.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.
Bye bye. What a lovely guest. Absolutely amazing.
You know what? It's funny because when you first said about we were getting Father Bob on, I was like, "Whoa, this is going to be a difficult one to do."
Yeah.
Because like I said, when you think about religion and people's belief system and everything, it's really you could either go one or two ways. One, it goes smoothly like it did tonight, but the other way is you're going to have people that's going to upset. But it's been
Yeah.
great. It's been cool.
And I found that he was very open in answering the questions. Like there was some questions there that we tend to like shy away from a little bit, because it touches on unsteady ground and we don't want to be like, upsetting anyone. Um, but the way he answered it made a lot of sense, and it kind of like helps. And I'd like to get Joe Frankly on the new podcast that we do,
Well,
because
that'd
it
be
would be
cool.
very interesting to hear his
Big
perspective
take
on
on Ed and
horror.
Lorraine Warren and
Yeah,
things like.
which
And yeah, it's like Father Bob said. How can you really comment on people that you've not actually met directly? And I think that's the problem with a lot of things.
yeah,
People have people pass judgment, opinions based on small clips that they see on social media. It's a very I don't know, toxic place really.
I think
Um,
social media can be very toxic.
oh yeah, hundred
It
percent.
can be
It's
enjoyable, but it can be toxic as well.
volatile. That's the
Yeah,
word.
yeah, it's unstable.
But I think yeah, tonight it's been good. It's been good. So
It
yeah,
has been good. So what's new? Should we tell them about the new podcast?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the Calm Mind Collective, or Harmony of Hearts, tonight it's our last show. We will not be anymore. It's gone. This was the last shebang for me and Nando, but we'll still be back in a week's time, because we've gone a different route now. Is that the right word to say? Different route, different route.
Different
Yeah,
route. I think route is what the Americans say, and we say route, don't we?
yeah,
It's sort of
yeah.
the same thing.
So we're going to be called Beyond the Journey. It's going to be a new weekly podcast, and it's going to be real life. It's not going to be. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting journey. Let's just say that. We're going to be talking about our own personal stories. We're going to be talking about things that relate to the real world, i.e., religion, politics, things that people don't always want to get involved in, but it's important because the times that we live in now, they take a big part in what we're experiencing. You look at over in the States, you've got Mr. Trump, and all the changes that he's making over there. And then over here, unfortunately, we have Keir Starmer. Um, and, as Nando's eyes just made it's one of those things. So it's like the new style of the new podcast will be real life, real interactions with real people on real subjects. So we're going to be discussing sport. We're going to be discussing politics. We're going to be discussing ham and pineapple pizza. We're going to be no, it's that way, Nando, because
Yeah, I
you're
did that,
always
didn't
the
I? I did
Italian
that.
side of you. And we're just going to be talking about real life. Like, we've got a great show. The first show that we are going to start with involves that man there, Mr. Nando.
Mm.
And it's a show that's coming up to 15 years old. Am I right in saying?
Yeah, yeah. So just a brief, like, do you know what? Yeah, Gino was born in 2010, and Sarah was in hospital, and she was approached by a production company. They were going round to a lot of mothers to be, asking to be part of a new documentary called One Born Every Minute, which, the journey is to document a parent's journey through pregnancy and the highs and lows of it all, which was great. We get to watch back, you know, especially with Sarah's pregnancy, it was such a whirlwind. But since then, the I've noticed a trend. Now, as I've said to Sarah and my mum, to a lot of people about this, there's a trend, and I'm sure I'm not the only person, but it was pointed out to me just before Christmas, some comments that were being left about me as a person. And it just sort of like, you know what? I want to know what's been said. And I have strolled back to as far as 2011. And some of the comments that I have seen relating to me is shocking.
Well,
It's
funny enough, you should say that. I think
it's
this is just to give some
content,
viewers
what we're talking
content.
about.
This is the kind of thing that Nando received by being on One Born Every Minute. And to me, that's disgusting. Quasimodo was so much better looking. How dare they, like?
um,
But yeah, do you know what? It's like when you're being told that either your wife could die or your son could die, and then someone's writing shit like this. And this
mm.
is why we need to bring these kind of stories into like, for people to actually know, like, this is a TV show. This is real life, and people are writing crap like that without even thinking how that might affect you, or in fact how it might affect Sarah. And now 15 years later, there's a chance Gino could watch something like that and see that someone's wrote a clip about his dad.
And I just want to be clear, if anyone sees that and they're like, "Oh, you're beefing about a comment back in 2011," right? And I appreciate that was back in 2011. I didn't know about these sort of comments until recently. I think it was first brought to my attention during Christmas, last Christmas. So basically, on Facebook, One Born Every Minute reposts clips of different parents, and there's been a number of me and Sarah on there. and that's when I became aware of a lot of negative comments that have been put. And again, I've not really concentrated on anyone else's story because it's not my place to talk about anyone else's personal story, because it's for them to deal with. But it just highlights to me, and do you know the shocking thing, and I might get some hate for this, a majority of the comments, these viral comments, are coming from women.
Mm.
And now these are, you hear women complain so much about men, about they don't pull their weight, they don't step up to the mark. Now, I'm not perfect in any way, shape, or form. You know, I know I've made my mistakes over the years. But when it comes to my kids and being a dad and a husband, I've remained very loyal. But the backlash that I've got with these personal comments paints a very different picture, because at the time I lent for support to family members with what we were going through. And, you know, so men are criticized for not stepping up, but then you got these women, and I'm sorry to say it bluntly, but this is the truth, and we can prove this because we have taken screenshots of a lot of the comments. You got women that are also condemning men for stepping up.
Mm.
You know, so what do you lot actually want? You know, and that's the thing is, it shocks me to say it. You know, I wouldn't have expected it from women,
Yeah.
you know, to be doing it, but a lot of these comments are coming from women, you know, and they're so quick to jump on a man when they're wrong, that we're so bad, but then it's all right for these women to make these sort of comments,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, to say because I may not be a good looking person to some, like this comment that we just posted, but to make a comment to say that I successfully reproduced,
Yeah.
you know, you have no right. And then people wonder why men don't talk, why men are committing suicide, and then you got stupid mindless women. And I'm sorry, and it's not I'm a sexist person at all, because I'm really not, but where I've seen a lot of these comments come from women, you're causing a man to, but we'll go into it in a bit more, in a bit more
In
depth.
effect, they're causing a man to feel bad for being human and to
You
have.
know, and it shocks me, it really does shock me, like, so, you know,
It'll certainly make for a great show. It'll
it's
make for a great show.
and what shocks me even more, the production company have not filtered this. They've not acted upon making sure these sort of comments are going out. That, you know, they have a, I believe they have a responsibility to ensure that these comments are not being left to, especially people said there's people that were on that show that have lost babies. There's people on that show that really did struggle, you know, mentally, and they're not being responsible as a TV production to make sure these sort of things are not being left on social media for people to jump on. But, you know, that's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, no, and do you know what?
it's
It's
it,
going to make for a great first show, and
it's
I'm going to email um, One Born Every Minute and Channel 4. I'm going to try and get a representative to come on the show. They may not,
it,
but if
it's
they
just,
do, it'd be great.
and in my opinion, they got to remember it's down to these mothers that agree to do the show, that they've got a show, you
Yeah,
know, and you know, and I think the people that are leaving those sorts of comments, they're losing sight. It's not a fashion show. It's not about people's appearance. It's about documenting the true journey of people when they're having a baby, and that's where it should be left. But for me personally, people need to realize this is my fucking child that I
yeah.
could have lost, and it was very personal to me. And yes, I did struggle after he was born. It wasn't,
Who wouldn't? You were
but
in a
you know,
different
like I said,
position.
we're I think we're going to do a full segment on it,
We are.
and
Going to be a great first show with a lot of screenshots of
and none of the names are going to be hidden. None
No.
of the name. We're going to just put up the screenshots with no editing,
And do you know what?
and just
I'm
see it.
actually going to go one better, Nando. And I don't know whether you're going to agree to this, but tough. Once you've sent me all the screenshots, and I want some clips of the videos of you
Yeah,
and Sarah, because you said because bear in mind, Nando was only 25 at the time.
yeah.
He's old now. But I'm going to, obviously, we're going to be naming and shaming these people because it's going to go up live on a platform. But I'm also going to go one better. And I'm going to tag these people into the Facebook posts when I go about and be like, here we go, live show. And I'm going to tag Joe Blogs and Mr. Smith and whoever it is and be like, yeah, watch this show and watch exactly the pain.
I think what it is, people need to really be educated on what's in. My looks was not important about what
No.
Sarah went through. Um,
But you think
there's
Sarah would come on the show and talk to us as well?
yeah, I believe she would because she has a very high opinion on this. And but for me personally, it's the thing about how people are discriminating against a man, about a man showing their feelings, about a man being, some of the comments you've seen it, Rob.
Yeah.
You need to put comments like you need to put your big boy pants on,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
not understanding the full scope of what. And that's what I want to share is people see such a small clips of what we went through, but are you that stupid and not realize there's 9 months of a pregnancy?
yeah. Yeah, not
What
5 minutes.
happens? Okay, so they might have done what 2 months worth of filming. What happened in the other 7 months?
Yeah.
And that's
No, it'd be
and I think that's a failing on the production company. They've not made sure that they're protecting the people that were on the show. They're and they one boy every minute even said any nasty comments along the lines, any comments untowards comments will be removed and people will be blocked. Well, they clearly haven't done that.
no.
But but anyway, but
We bring it all up. Other than that, where can people see you in the next coming week?
uh Thursday I've got a podcast on our Portal to the Paranormal page. We've got Jeff Bellinger coming on. He's an explorer, investigator, storyteller, author, and he's done some amazing things. He's climbed Kilimanjaro. So we're going to be speaking to him. And then I'll be back on the podcast with you, I believe.
Oh,
Um,
maybe.
and
Who
then,
knows?
oh, no, I think I've got two coming up this week. Emily Paranormal on Saturday as well.
Mm.
So she's a great investigator. But yeah,
We are going to have a special live show on the 1st of April.
yeah, we're going to be going
We're
to a
going to
little
be
location.
investigating together, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to
Just
go
you
and
and me.
investigate well, we might have a little tag along.
Oh, Mr.
Gina,
Rocco. Oh,
no,
Gina.
Gina wants to come along.
There we
So
go.
So we'll have him. So that'll be a cool from a location that we're going to give some true content on. Because again, people have made content based on this location, which is not 100% accurate. So
No.
we're just going to correct a few things, and
And we're
you
going
know,
to debunk a few things that we've seen that's happened there on paranormal investigations. We're gonna reenact it and try and get the same kind of reading. So we're going to debunk it as well as doing our own investigation, as well as giving the real history and not the fake stuff.
yeah.
So
But other
and
than
then
that,
yeah, then for me going forward, working hard like I normally do. Um, Little Rob has come up with the idea of a new paranormal group. Uh,
yeah,
yeah, he's designed the logo. He's designed everything for it, which is called the Para Directive. So I'm going to be helping him. It's totally his baby. It's nothing really to do with me. It's his show. I'm just going to be helping him. I'm going to help him to open up his own experiences a little bit more with mediumship, because he's getting all the seeing of things and the hearing of things, but I'm going to help him try and enhance that. And then, he's going to go off and I'm going to tag along and do some paranormal investigations, which will be quite nice from a different perspective. And then, the new podcasts, which will be
Mm.
great.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. It's fun times ahead. So, which would be nice. And then we got your birthday.
No, my birthday's not till July.
I know, but we're going to Nuns Cross Farm, and I'm just
Hopefully so,
looking
yeah.
forward to that.
That would be something different for a 40th, wouldn't it?
Out in the middle of nowhere,
Out in the middle
no
of the sticks
electricity,
with
no
everyone.
water, no nothing. Perfect. What
We're
more?
gonna get some like disposable barbecues, do a few
Sounds great.
barbecues. But no, it should all be good. But all positive stuff, and
That's
yeah,
cool. Guys, go and follow our social medias. Nando's is the portal to the paranormal, or his personal one, which is Nando de Sario. Mine, did I say your surname right then?
yeah.
Oh, that's right. Mine is obviously Rob Hodges on Facebook, not Big Rob. I don't
He's
know.
also got an OnlyFans page now, people.
I do not have an OnlyFans because no one would pay to see this. I do have TikTok, which is, oh God, I can't even remember what my TikTok is now. Big Rob, I think TikTok is Big Rob.
He's
Uh,
good. He's good.
we're starting to stream on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. Over the last week, I've gone from 700 followers to 3,000 followers on TikTok.
Wow,
Our last podcast with MJ hit 1,999 views,
that was fun. That was also
spread
fun.
across 5 platforms. So it's good. We're getting out there. We're doing our thing, and Frank, it's good. It's good.
But yeah,
Hello, hello, Jury Stay True Gaming. Hello, thank you very much for coming. But yeah, apart from that, I'm going to say my goodbye. So goodbye, everyone. Thank you very much for coming on the show, and we will see you all with the new show when it's ready, up and running, which will feature him.
I think we're going to get the thumbnail out because it is something that I want to spread. Like this is something meaningful to me,
Yeah,
and I do want to spread it as far as we can
we will.
because for me it sort of shows where people are going wrong,
Yeah,
and to use someone's a very personal experience of the birth of your child and what and turn it into some kind of bloody circus.
yeah. No,
It's it's not.
I'll design the thumbnail. I need all the video clips from you, pictures of you, a young you and a young Sarah, and a Bubba Gino. I'll make a
Robertina.
thumbnail, and then we get it out there for everyone to see. And we'll probably do it in a couple of weeks' time to allow the thumbnail to grow to attract people's attentions, and then
Mm,
new show, bang, in we go. Here we are. So
definitely. But no. But
on that
for
note,
now,
thank you very
ladies,
much everyone
everyone.
for watching. Good night, God bless, and we'll see you all with the new show very soon. Peace
Bye,
out.
everyone.